Welcome. I am really glad you are here. I'm Laureen Quick, and I work with women over 50 who find themselves quietly worn down. Not broken, but they're tired, tired from years of holding and caregiving and staying strong for others. This particular conversation today is a part of the Next Chapter Summit, a gathering for women navigating change, reinvention, and renewal after 50. It's a space that invites you to slow down, to listen inwardly, and to release the belief that renewal requires more effort, more doing. So many women in midlife sense a gentle distance from themselves, a kind of inner quiet that isn't peace, but maybe more disconnection. And they're not looking for another plan or prescription to solve their problems. They're just simply longing to come home. And that's why I'm deeply grateful today to be joined by Dr. Ellen. Dr. Ellen has spent decades walking alongside women at pivotal thresholds, helping them to reconnect with themselves through compassion, embodied awareness, and a deep listening. Her work reframes midlife not as a problem to solve, but as an invitation to soften, integrate, and allow renewal to come from within. What you're about to hear isn't a lesson or a list of steps or things to do. It's a gentle conversation, spacious, humane, and grounding, and a glimpse into the tone that we are creating throughout the Next Chapter Summit. Dr. Ellen, I am so glad that you are here today. Let's get started.
All right. Thank you, Lauren, and welcome everybody. It's really an honor and privilege to be sharing this space with you today.
So, my first question is many women over 50 are feeling quietly worn down. They're not broken, but they're tired. They're tired from years of holding and caregiving and staying strong. When women first come to you in this place, what do you sense they're longing for, even if they haven't yet been able to articulate it with words?
They're longing for permission to exhale, permission to slow down, to connect with their authenticity, to stop the hustle and really remember who they are on the deepest level. They're longing to wake up joyful and excited to start their day. There's that space that you think about when you were in college, you had your first job, and there's this excitement about life. And I find that the women that I work with, I think very similar to the women that you work with, are they're numb. So they're numbing out, right? They are turning to Netflix and a threesome with Ben and Jerry's, an extra glass of wine, which there's nothing, what you're doing is you're trying to take care of your nervous system, but they're looking for a freshness and they feel really stuck and stale. And it's really about remembering who you truly are. And I think midlife is that time where you start to really realize that you are a soul having a human experience. You realize I'm running out of time. I incarnated for a reason. I'm here to do something. And let's face it, the world is full of problems right now. And the Dalai Lama says that the world is going to be saved by the Western woman. And he's talking about us because we've embodied all of this wisdom. And I think that our culture so often says, you're tired, you're a has-been, we feel invisible. And what I'm here to say, which I think you are as well, is remember how powerful you are. Remember who you are and figure out how to reconnect with that authenticity and really make a difference in the world so that you are excited, energized, and joyful about starting your day.
And I totally agree with everything that you've said. I'm curious to ask, for the woman who's listening who feels a little distant from herself, but she's not quite sure why, how can she recognize what that is and what begins to shift when she starts to return? What will she experience?
Yeah, that disconnection, and I felt that myself. I mean, we're recording this at the beginning of 2026, and I sort of sat down the beginning of the year and I was like, all right, let's get into the hustle like you. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. And it was like, God, I was just feeling disconnected myself. And so I went back to my tools of human design, heart math, self-compassion, what that disconnection is that you are ready for dragonflying. You are ready to step it up to another level. And I love this metaphor of the dragonfly. We all know the butterfly, right? The butterfly is like, it's a shroud, it's the cocoon, and then you digest yourself, and then you have to like struggle to break free. But the dragonfly, the dragonfly, it spends 2 years as a nymph in the water, right? So it's digesting all of these emotions. It's a fierce predator. And one evening at the stroke of midnight, climbs up a stalk of grass, molts its final molt. It pushes the water in its body into its wings, unfurls its thorax, and becomes this luminescent being that flies 40 miles an hour, has sex in midair, has 365-degree vision. So I think that disconnection is, we're doing the same old, and expecting different results. It's like, Einstein says insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So that disconnection is like, God, I don't feel like myself. And I think as women, we go through menopause and we really change. Menopause is partially remodeling our brains. I'm a bit of a neuroscience geek, right? Our brains are changing. Our role in life is changing. We want more. We still have this huge amount of time in front of us. That disconnection, I felt it myself because every time you're sort of evolving, growing, you're hitting another stage of being. So that disconnection is the sense that I need to shift, I need to change. And what's really holding us back, and I want you to hear this, it is fear. Because again, this neuroscience, your brain isn't interested in you being actualized and excited and making a difference in the world. Your brain just wants to keep you safe. And so doing the same old, your brain is like, I know this, it's safe, I'm secure. And so that's that sense of disconnection where we're like, at this place, we're at A. We kind of sense there's a Z, but we don't even know what the B is. We don't even know our next step. And that's when I work with a woman and we do a midlife radiance assessment. We're really looking at rating where she is in all these places and figuring out what is a 10 or even 11. How do you 11 your life? And that's what dragon flying is all about, is understanding your frequency, your design, what you were here to do, remembering who you are on the deepest level, and then working through that fear, feeling safe in your nervous system. But that disconnect is when I feel that it's really like, okay, oh, don't just like turn on Netflix. Like last night, it was like, you know what? I need to do something creative. I need to do something more, not less. And I stepped outside my comfort zone and started studying, growing in some new directions. And this morning, woke up feeling energized and excited again. But the disconnection is really a signal that your soul wants to grow to a higher degree.
And then as we start to experience that growth, I imagine then we start to feel freedom.
Yes, and that's what's so interesting about this dragonfly. I work a lot with human design and the gene keys. And in gene keys, it's 55 is the dragonfly, and it's moving from being a victim to freedom through freedom. It's interesting when you think about it, when we complain, when we feel like the victim, it kind of defines us in a weird way. It's like I exist because I'm struggling. And I think that's
Mhm.
another thing that we're really addicted to struggle. And so freedom is realizing I don't really have to struggle. Sure, I might want to work hard, learn some new things, grow in a new direction, face some of my fears, but we're so addicted to the victimization. And so dragon flying is really about the freedom, finding that freedom. And for, if you're listening, that freedom might just be like, in my work day, I'm going to take 5 minutes, maybe in 1 minute, 30-minute chunks throughout the day, just to breathe, just to be, just to give myself the freedom to be present with my day-to-day existence, finding the freedom to say, I'm not cooking dinner tonight. I'm making myself something simple. The family can worry about it themselves. I think we have all of these sort of obligations, things that we are supposed to do. We're shooting on ourselves. And this freedom is really letting that go and realizing, you know what, I do have choices. I do have agency. I really can be the authority, the author of my next chapter.
I love that. I love that. And, a lot of times we think, oh, renewal requires us to make this dramatic effort, and we have to have this huge crisis and then this rise from the ashes, so to speak. But what do you think, or what have you seen women discover about renewal after 50 that might surprise them in
Well,
this?
renewal, yeah, can feel like relief.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't have to be, and I think that's a big piece when I'm working with women. It's about shifting your frequency. it's really an inside out world. So when you shift how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your life, it's really a lot of this what's called neurolinguistic programming, the
Mhm.
stories you tell yourself, the thoughts that are on repeat, understanding your conditioning and deconditioning yourself. You realize, oh, wow, being me doesn't have to be so hard. And then I also teach a lot of what's called self-compassion, realizing that if it's a struggle, it's not self-compassion, turning towards yourself, realizing, I can be my own best friend. This doesn't have to be so hard. If we stay in that struggle and that hardship, what's going to show up? Struggle and more hardship. So I think that what really happens is that renewal after 50 can really be this sense of relief, not becoming someone else, but removing the armor, becoming more authentic, more of yourself. Like it feels like coming home.
It
When I
does.
start to work with clients, I had one client, one of my favorite clients, she grew up next to a circus, literally. Her parents owned an amusement park. She grew up in a circus. I write about it in my book, Rock Your Midlife, wrote about this client of mine. And we went back to circus, right? She joined the circus. She literally took a weekend and went to circus camp, which helped her get in shape because she wanted to hang from a trapeze bar. She bought all circus paraphernalia. She started juggling again, put circus posters all over her office, and she went into this energy for her, which I call like your destination vibration, this energy of circus, which to her felt like coming home. And from that, a whole speaking, writing career evolved from that. So really finding this destination vibration, finding what is truly you. And I work a lot with my clients with human design, which literally shows you what your frequency is, what your gifts are, what your strengths are. We also work with, what your flaws are too, and giving yourself compassion for that imperfect part of you, but it's so much about accepting all of it and accepting your age, right? Our culture tells us that after 50, you're in the wrong, you're on the wrong side of 50, when you hit midlife, right? But that's so not true. I am finding at 63 that midlife is like the most beautiful, powerful, fun, exuberant time of my life. And you can do it too.
I would tell you that it is the best time of my life. I have never enjoyed myself so much in the last decade. And I'm 67. So, yeah, we both speak from experience. It is a wonderful time to be alive. Now, before we close today, I just want to offer to all of those who are watching, if this conversation has met you in a place of weariness, if something in what you heard reminded you that you don't need to push or fix yourself to begin again, that's the kind of space that we are holding throughout the Next Chapter Summit. This gathering is for women who are ready to soften, to listen more deeply, and to let renewal come from within rather than effort. You'll find a link to learn more about the summit, including the dates and registration, in the conversation notes to this recording. Dr. Ellen, I want to thank you for your warmth, your wisdom, and your compassion today to share with us who you are and how you help women come home to themselves. It has been amazing. And to everyone else listening, if you are tired and you are still quietly hopeful, you are warmly invited to join us for the Next Chapter Summit. Thank you.